Okay, so I said I'd pick a winner for the RDR2 giveaway, and a lot of you signed up. So I wrote down the names and entered them in at pickatrandom.com, and Shane Reynolds won the drawing. Congrats to you, Shane. Hello all, it's Eric the Lone Pine Wolfman with another Red Dead history vid. While reading, I came across an excerpt of one robbery performed by the James Gang, not yet known as the James Younger Gang yet, in 1866. The gang itself was at large for 15 years. Being former Confederate guerrillas, they often had the support of many of the common people, who didn't trust the administrations, banks, and law agencies who were controlled or who were supported by Northerners who came south after the American Civil War. I'll put the book information down below in, well, the info section. And the excerpt is pretty long, so I edited it a little bit. But it does give a good sense of one of the first bank robberies of the Wild West, and what we can expect from Red Dead Redemption 2. So, here it is. Shortly before 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Valentine's Day in 1866, a dozen men rode into Liberty, Missouri. All of them were muffled in long soldiers' overcoats, and some even wore six-shooters in plain sight. The first three riders dismounted in the deserted square, taking up posts where they could watch the surrounding streets. The others reined up in front of the Clay County Savings Association. Two of them dismounted and stepped into the small bank. Inside, a clerk and a cashier were laboring over accounts at the desks behind the wooden counter. The cashier, Green-Up Bird, saw the two strangers stop to warm themselves up by the stove. His son, William, the clerk, went on writing. After a moment, one of the men walked to the counter and slid a $10 bill across. "I'd like a bill changed," he said. As William reached for the bill, the stranger drew a six-shooter and requested, "I'd like all the money in the bank." No one had ever said that, or anything like it, to an American bank clerk before. Except for a small raid during the American Civil War, no one had ever robbed a bank during business hours. William Bird backed away in disbelief as the robbers jumped the counter. One of them leveled a revolver at Green-Up. "Make a noise and we'll shoot you down," he warned. His partner struck William with his gun and pushed him towards the bank's open vault. "Damn you, be quick," he said. There, William gathered gold and silver coins from the shelf and stuffed them into a grain sack that the robber produced from under his coat. The second robber asked where the paper money was. "In the box," the cashier replied, pointing to a large tin container resting on the table. The robber began to stack the contents. Currency, bonds, banknotes, and sheets of revenue stamps. When his partner emerged from the bank vault with the grain sack, the legal tender was stuffed into it too. The total, $60,000, nearly $1 million in today's money. The cashier was then forced into the vault to join his son, and the door was slammed shut. "Stay in there," the robber called. "You know all birds should be caged." Clearly the robber was familiar with the bank and its employees. As the robbers left the bank, they began to fire wildly into the air to cause panic. George Wymore, a 19-year-old student at Liberty's William Jewell College, had been walking down the street to his classes. As the mounted men swept towards him, he ran for cover. One of the riders fired 4 times, and young Wymore fell to the frozen ground, killed instantly. The men who later examined his body found that any one of the bullets would have been fatal, an awesome display of deadly accuracy. A posse of enraged townsmen, armed with a few weapons they could grab on the spot, rode after the robbers. They tracked them down to a Missouri River ferry crossing, but a blizzard forced them to turn back. And that's the end of the excerpt. Just like that, the James boys and their compatriots pulled off their first heist, and will later become the stuff of legend, and other outlaw gangs would try to match them in their fame and tactics. The James boys were not even suspected as robbers until someone recognized Jesse's horse one day. Fighting against the authority of banks and government, they are often seen as Robin Hood figures to rural Southerners of the time, even if their brutality to some civilians during and after the Civil War were ignored. Jesse even wrote letters to newspapers claiming that they were innocent as a PR move. And it was kind of successful. I can totally see Dutch Van der Linde and the gang in this story. It also makes me think of how detailed will the planning be for bank and train robberies. I know we'll get to plan them out, but I just wonder how much we'll get to plan. And people recognizing Jesse's horse? It just makes me wonder if we come back to a town after we robbed it, even if we hit our face, will the townspeople recognize us by our clothes or our horse? But let me know what you guys think. How would you like to rob a bank in Red Dead Redemption 2? Calm and collected, or just plain wild? And if you liked the video, please click that like button and subscribe for more content. This is Eric the Lone Pine Wolfman, and remember gamers, never stop learning.